All teams, give it everything you got.
It's time to fangirl flail with Fangirls Going Rogue.
Count me in.
I don't think there's anything more important in the Star Wars universe than the fans.
News, discussion, and commentary from the female point of view.
You call this a diplomatic solution?
No, I call it aggressive negotiations.
With your hosts, Teresa Delgado, Tricia Barr, and Sarah Woloski.
Boy, am I glad to hear your voice.
Strap in, because this is where the fun begins.
I like the sound of that.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 46 of Fangirls Going Rogue. I am your host, Teresa Delgado, and I'm a little bit sick today. So if I sound kind of like a frog, just pretend I've been hanging out with Tiana and Naveen for a little bit too long. My co-hosts, as always, my best friends in fandom, Sarah Woloski from Skywalking Through Neverland. What's up?
Hey, I am back from running the Tinkerbell Half Marathon, and I was not flying my way through that this time. I was hopping as Judy Hops. It was really fun.
That was a really cute outfit, by the way. And was it last minute or?
No, you know what? I actually planned this one about 2 weeks ahead of time. I was buying up stuff to make sure that I had the elements I needed for my outfit. It was really fun because I went as the police Judy Hops, and, so I actually took pictures with some of the policemen on the streets of Anaheim, and I took pictures with the Disneyland security by their fire truck, so it's super cute.
Yeah, it was a cute outfit. I like that one. And Tricia Barr from Fangirl Blog. Are you exhausted? Are you done traveling for a while, or?
Almost done. So the world tour, that's what it felt like. The book tour is done. And I went to North Carolina at a horse show and I'm back. Oh. And by the time you guys hear this, I will have gone to North Carolina again and come back. So.
Wow.
Gee whiz. Do you have lots of miles on your?
Thanks for the book tour, I do. But I'm saving them all to upgrade one time. You know that you just want to one time sit in first class. So.
Oh, how fun. I've never done that.
Have you guys? Never?
No. I've been in first class before, but I want to be in first class on one of the planes where the whole seat reclines like a bed.
Like Qantas?
Yes. Is that the Australian?
Yeah, that's the one to Australia. So if you're going to upgrade, you might as well do it on a 14-hour flight to Australia.
Well, we're saving that for going to Australia someday for Celebration Asia or something. It'll happen.
Is that what they would call it, or would it be Celebration Pacific?
Oh, that would be
maybe
cool.
They would.
Let's have it in Hawaii.
Well, you know what?
Man.
How about we first find out when and where the next celebration is actually going to be? That'd be great.
That would be nice if they told us that info.
Yeah, at the closing ceremonies of the last celebration.
You don't get to hear that, but the one thing that Celebration, I think, proves, and we're learning more, and maybe more franchises are learning. I saw this really cool article that ties into our collecting segment, which was in the New York Times. And it talked about Pam Lifford, who's the president of Warner Brothers Consumer Products, and she joined in January 2016. And apparently they're figuring out that when movie tickets slump, you go to the consumer products. Disney sort of maybe figured this out, but it looks like everybody else is coming in. And Wonder Woman action figures listed up there. So the ladies like their action figures too.
Woohoo! And even guys like Wonder Woman stuff too. Wasn't there a collection for guys that men were like, oh, why do they have a Wonder Woman collection for guys? And
yes, Hero Within.
Hero Within had an awesome, or still does, has an awesome Wonder Woman collection with a denim jacket, and there's also a woven shirt, a button-up collared woven shirt, and there's they have maybe one or two other things, but it actually came out before the Wonder Woman collection that we're going to talk about right now from Her Universe. Her Universe just released their big Wonder Woman collection that's designed the three women who won the fashion show from Comic-Con last year. And I've had a chance to talk to them, Hannah Kent, Jessie Thuxton, and Camille Fasciola, and they just did a wonderful job with this particular collection. I know you guys have ordered some pieces already. I'm still staring at pictures online and don't know what I'm going to buy. So, Sarah, I know you bought one or two things.
So I was going to buy one thing, the lasso dress, which is amazing and so pretty. Like, that's the one thing that caught my eye the morning this collection was announced. It's black, but it has gold, like faux leather top with a little keyhole cut out where your cleavage is. So I'm like, oh, perfect for me. And then it has like this lasso, what is this called? Like waist belt that you can actually unclip and make it look like a lasso around your waist too, which I found awesome. So I got that, and then I was in the checkout bag, and I was like, okay, I really love this Wonder Woman ombre skirt with the stars, and I guess when you go out in UV light, so sunlight, on the white part of this skirt, you can actually see a design, a Wonder Woman, like, W design as well. So it's like a color changing skirt, and I love it. So it seems perfect for the 4th of July.
Yeah, you're right. It does. It does. And Tricia, didn't you buy something also?
I ordered the reversible dress.
Nice.
Because I just want to be full on, this is me, Wonder Woman, loving it. And yeah, so that's the one I had to have. But there were too many to choose from. That jacket, oh my gosh. The both jackets are amazing. And the tank with the sword down the back.
Yes.
Which at first I didn't catch it, and then I'm like,
I like that was like third on my list. I'm like, okay, that tank is so cool, but I just I don't know. It looked neat, but I had to limit myself.
Teresa, did you talk to them on Galactic Fashion?
Yes, we talked to them on Galactic Fashion. You can check it out. It's episode 24. And we have some really good in-depth discussions with all three of them and about their inspiration for the collection and if they had been Wonder Woman fans prior to designing this, and some background information about the fashion show, and like not really secrets, but like kind of, you know, little tips and things that people don't really know about the fashion show, which is pretty cool. So it's a good episode. Check out.
I'm excited. I can't wait to listen. And I did submit a question. So woohoo.
We read your question, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
We did. And you're going to laugh because I gave you some styling tips from me.
Well, awesome.
It was pretty funny. It was a good time. But Sarah, you got to do something really cool and hang out with two Ashleys recently.
I did. So this is still part of our collecting corner because, every so often at Disneyland and Disney World, so both places have something called the Wonderground Gallery, in which artists will display their artwork, like Disney-approved artists, and every so often they'll come and they'll actually sign your pieces. If you go and buy that piece and then you get in a line and they'll sign it, you can have a little short meet and greet with them. Well, usually these are announced like months in advance, like which artists are going to be there. Well, this time I happened to be following her universe on Instagram on like the Thursday before Mother's Day, and all of a sudden I saw this Instagram from her that says, hey, I'm going to be at the Wonderground Gallery in downtown Disney on Friday, which it was the next day, and I'm going to be signing this artwork by Ashley Taylor. So I was like, oh my gosh. And luckily I was able to have that time to go on Friday. And so I went down to the Wonderground Gallery and I met with the two Ashleys, and I bought this beautiful print of Leia sitting at her vanity. And in the mirror there is actually an image of Padme as Amidala, which is so beautiful. The whole thing is black, white, and red, which happen to be my wedding colors. So immediately I was drawn to it already. And it's just such an introspective piece of art. You know, you have Leia sitting there kind of with a downcast gaze, like she's dreaming of what it would be like if her mom, Padme, was still there. And in the mirror, Padme is actually cradling Leia's head. So it's like almost draws tears to your eyes, this image. So it's great. I was able to go down there and talk with Ashley Taylor. And also I was able to talk with Ashley Eckstein about how she commissioned this piece from Ashley Taylor. And I took a whole video of it. So you can find that at Skywalking Through Neverland's YouTube channel. And it'll, of course, be linked in the show notes here for this episode of Fangirls Going Rogue. So I was so happy to do that. And Ashley even, said hi to you ladies.
I know, I watched it, I cried.
Oh,
because I haven't gotten to see her and talk to her in forever, and I was like super sad.
And she was sad.
We feel like we missed her at Celebration.
And so did she. She was very sad that she missed us as well. So she wants to have like a tea party with us.
Well, I'd love to. Mm-hmm. I really would. That would be so fun. And but see, like I was thinking about it, and I'm like, can we plan this far enough in advance so it can be like an actual tea party there at her office? Because I will fly my butt over there. Mm-hmm. I just need to know enough in advance so that I can call my dad and say, hey, I need a plane ticket.
Were they selling the T-shirt there too from her universe, or just the artwork?
Yes, they were selling the T-shirt as well. So you could purchase one of 3 items in order to get in the line to meet and greet with them. That's how they do it at the Wonderground Gallery. You have to actually purchase a piece, and so you could buy the 11 by 14 print, which is the one I bought. You could get a postcard, which was, of course, much cheaper, but much smaller. I think it was like 5 by 7. And then you could also get the T-shirt as well. So, to me, the T-shirt was white and it had no sleeves, and I'm just not a big fan of sleeveless. So I said no to that, but yes to the big 11 by 17 print where they could sign it really nice and big, and now it's framed on my wall.
Oh, it's that black, white, and red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I had this black frame already that I happen to have that was 11 by 17. I'm like, this is perfect. So it looks beautiful.
Wow. I got the T-shirt. The T-shirt runs a little large.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if anybody's thinking about getting it still. It's usually I get medium because I feel like the juniors, I need more room. But in this one, I was like, I probably could have gotten the small and been comfortable. But I like it. I like the T-shirt.
Yay.
So I would definitely wear it with like a blazer or something over it, or possibly a cape, like a scavenger cape or something like that. I don't know if you guys saw that from Elhofer Design.
I did see this. I believe it's on pre-order right now, right?
Yeah. Because if you're in Star Wars, you have to have cape game. And apparently Rey has a little cape game there in some of the preview images. So she went and, made the scavenger cape. And I have the Bespin one from the Royal Collection, I think is called. And then also the Handmaiden Ombre one. Ooh. And I love them both. So I'm totally tempted. It's just like something that it's different to wear and keeps you warm, and they're comfortable, and you put that hoodie up and be styling. So I'm excited for those. She needs to stop designing stuff.
Right. I know, they're so cute. She just recently released the dragon lady dress, maxi dress, which I know you guys don't watch Game of Thrones, but I do, and I was totally tempted with that one because wow, it's beautiful and very sexy, and I think I could probably pull that one off, but it's a little too pricey for me.
Well, if anybody was watching the book tour stuff, the photos and stuff like that, I did wear those to the Handmaiden one and the Bespin one on the book tour. They were quite handy to wear. And it was so awesome to be with Teresa in Austin, who hosted it. And Teresa, we had such a great time. And Sarah's parents were there.
Yes.
And it was Teresa's mom, and we got to talk about Poe, and I conceded that she can be the bigger Poe fan.
What?
So Yeah, now she's committed. She has to come on the show and talk about him. So at some point we'll have to have a Poe character discussion.
Wait, who's the bigger Poe fan?
Teresa's
mom.
Oh, Teresa's mom. Okay. I was like, not Teresa.
No.
Poe's too light side for her.
Not even that. It's not that.
It's partly that.
There hasn't been a guy in Star Wars that I'm attracted to yet. I don't know. What do y'all want from me? What do you want from me?
I thought it was Maul.
Well, yeah, but he's like an alien. That's not real. It's not real.
I've seen how you look at the guy who plays Maul. What's his name?
Well, that's Ray Park.
Ray Park, thank you. I've seen how you look at Ray Park.
But see, like, I feel like there's a difference between, somebody who's in makeup and stuff versus somebody who's not. So I'm thinking about all the guys that are just the guys that aren't aliens and with stuff all over them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, like Han
and there's
Solo.
just not one. There's not one. There hasn't been one of those yet. So, but yeah, Maul and Ray Park. It doesn't help. That Ray Park is so nice.
Every trilogy now. So
say that again, Tricia.
One for every trilogy. I have Han Solo and then I have Obi-Wan.
I was gonna say Ewan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
back it up. There it is.
Come on. I was like, Teresa, come on. I know there's one, and then obviously Poe.
That's it. Ewan McGregor.
Is it Ewan or is it Obi-Wan? Because me, it's Obi-Wan.
No, it's Ewan. Any kind of version of Ewan McGregor, I'm good with.
Hello there.
Yeah, I was watching, well, we'll bring this up later, but even bald Ewan McGregor is like super hot. So we want an Obi-Wan movie is what we're hinting at. I'll just talk about Ewan McGregor. Oh. We want an Obi-Wan movie. He was recently on Jimmy Kimmel Live and he's bald right now.
Oh.
So, but he was on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and apparently he's been asked this question so many times that he feels like if he continues to answer it, that he's like begging for work, and saying like, Disney, make an Obi-Wan movie. But he really does want to do an Obi-Wan movie, like a solo standalone movie.
Well, I hope it doesn't take too long. I have work to do.
And we're adding our vote to yes, we would.
Yes.
Here's our money right now.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm laying it down on the
really,
line.
like we all want it.
Much more than a Boba Fett movie, in my opinion.
Well,
she's struggling.
See, Mando movies or Mando anything. Mando anything is good. So I'm good with that.
Okay.
Good with that. But I do want an Obi-Wan movie. Okay. I really do. Especially after Kenobi came out. That was like, especially with that, I mean, as like not a canon backstory, but close enough too. And that would be really cool.
I think it's inevitable. I think it'll happen. It was one of those things that when they first got Star Wars and they were handed over and George Lucas had said, Obi-Wan is going to stay on Tatooine and that's where he's going to be and there's nothing there. And so he wasn't even brought up. And I think people are finally realizing that you could do something exciting. You just have to kind of, I think Star Wars Rebels, the Maul Kenobi episode specifically shows that if it's the right moment, Obi-Wan would step out and expose himself. And that wouldn't just be on Tatooine. If he needed to go somewhere, it's whatever the Force wills him to do. He's just not going to go on a grand adventure. And maybe that's essentially part of being a Jedi, is that you're the guardian of the peace, but you're not a general, you're not a leader. But if you need to step in and take action, perhaps, then that's the moment. Maul needed to be put down. That was when he would do it. So, So I think they're actually setting up something. They're thinking about it. They're thinking about, well, when would he step away from Luke? Because they make a point of showing him go back to Luke at the end of that episode. So,
yeah, I mean, and I think it's something that we need to have, and Rebels did a great job of showing that, that you can do something with a character like that. So I'm excited for it. I think it would be really, really good. So, Tricia, do you want to say any more about your book tour and like how that went and favorite spots?
Well, I got to also see Sarah and Richard, so that was a lot of fun. And that was Santa Monica. It all kind of runs together now. But let me tell you, and I know Sarah's probably the kids know their trivia.
Yes, they do.
Like crazy. Yeah. Like Richard's trying to help us stump these kids. And Adam and I are like, yeah, there's just these kids know their Star Wars. It's like that age that's, I don't know, like the younger kids, not the like middle school. It's the younger kids that know their Star Wars. So that was really fun. I think, didn't you put the episode up on Skywalking Through Neverland?
Yeah. So we did like a 30-minute show of we introduced you and Adam Bray, and you guys got to talk about making Star Wars the visual encyclopedia, and then also a little bit about your fandom and things. And then we did some trivia where Richard got a workout running around the auditorium, getting all the kids on the mic. So yes, that's about half an hour, and it is on episode 168 of Skywalking Through Neverland, which is called Star Wars Day Around the World. But it's also on our Skywalking Through Neverland YouTube channel as well, the whole video. So if you guys want to see Tricia's amazing fashion and and watch us run around, it's a fun video as well. So I recommend that to get a taste of what the book tour was like.
The best part is there was a kid who kept answering the questions. His name was Hayden. And
oh yeah,
the realization afterwards when he came to his book side, I was like, "So, are you named after Hayden Christensen?" He's like, "Yep." I'm like, oh, how about that?
That's some good parents right there.
So it's either going to be. I signed a. This was crazy in Biloxi, Mississippi. I signed a kid. His name was Odin.
Oh.
And I was like, Thor. He's like, yeah. The dad's like, yeah.
Wow.
Did you guys see the thing about the baby names that came out about the biggest rise was the Kylos after The Force Awakens?
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
And everybody's like, wait a minute. Like, you're naming your kid after, like, I mean, he's the guy who killed his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Luke redeemed his father. He went and, went out there, and I'm like, wow, okay. So I'm still kind of fascinated by that whole, I haven't seen anybody write why or say why they named their kid Kylo, like what hooked them on the name. So I'm still waiting.
I don't know about y'all, but if I have a son, I'm going to name him Voldemort and call him Voldy. So.
Wow. Have you discussed this with your husband?
He doesn't get a say. I'm just kidding. No, I'm really not doing that. But I have been trying to figure out what names I would give kids if we do have kids. So I don't know, but there's definitely some Harry Potter, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, something happening. I just don't know exactly what quite at this point.
Nice.
Although I'm really digging Oliver. And that has nothing to do with Arrow. It has everything to do with Harry Potter. But we'll see.
Okay. Huh.
Oliver Wood.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
That's interesting.
Have you seen Sean Biggerstaff? I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
He's one of my favorite Star Wars. He's one of my favorite Harry Potter characters.
Okay.
Just saying.
No,
I can't name a kid Teddy. I can't name a kid Teddy. And I can't name a kid, what's Lupin's actual name? Remus.
Yeah, that's weird.
Or Kingsley. I mean, all the cool names are weird. I can't use those.
I remember when I told my sister, I'm like, oh, Finn, that's one of my nephews. Finn's, has the same name as a Star Wars character. He's like, eh. And now he's like, I have the same name as a Star Wars character. But, it was before he even knew. And now he thinks it's really cool. So, but then if you go into a classroom, there's like 800 Finns. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Finn's a pretty popular name. Mm-hmm. It already was before Finn. So even if the character inspired more people to pick Finn, I don't think it would have made a change because there's just so many Finns. So,
Tricia, what's the name of the character from the Hunger Games that
Finnick?
Yeah, that's a cool name.
Finnick's neat.
Finnick's a good name. And then there's one, I've always loved Rafe from Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett.
Good name. That's a good name.
I've always liked Luke. Luke is just an awesome, good biblical name with solid roots, and it's Luke.
Yeah, my nephew's named Luke.
Yeah.
And then you could do the video. I am your father.
It's true. It's true.
Richard would do that. He would.
Well, that's why I say if we ever had a boy, Luke is like a given. It's the girl's name that would give us trouble.
I love how we're talking about kids like none of us have them.
I know. It's just something I think about.
I wanted a Scarlet. Yeah, I wanted a Scarlet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, Scarlet.
Yeah.
So back in the day before I knew this was popular, I wanted to name, if I had a daughter, I wanted to name her Ayla Jaina. And then I know too many people now who've used the combination of those two names. So now that's gone.
You know an Ayla?
Yeah, I know a couple of them. I can't remember who has a daughter named Ayla, but there's a couple in the circle of fandom.
That's cool.
And I know a Jaina. Someone has a Jaina. But yeah, so now I can't use that anymore. So now I'm kind of lost on a girl's name. But that's what it was forever. And now I have no idea.
How about Baze?
Baze for a girl?
For a boy.
Oh, for a boy.
No, I wanted to. I'm going to tell a story because there was a romance novel. Okay, that there was a character named Rain, Rane, and I loved the name. But our family name, the middle name is Forrest, and So I told my mom when I was a kid, I'm like, I'm going to name my kid Rain. And she's like, no, you cannot have a child named Rain Forrest. And then I was like, oh, but that probably would have saved me to be like, where'd you get the name? Oh, it was from a romance novel. But yeah, there will be no Rain Forrest in my future.
That's awesome.
Wow. You can, if you want to see how Jin got all her different names, her aliases, you can read Rebel Rising, the young adult novel, and get insight into all her little names, where they came from. I thought that was a really cool little thing that was woven into Beth Revis's book. I recommend it to everybody, especially people who didn't connect with Jin like me, because I was like, oh, I watched the movie again. I'm like, okay.
So after reading it, you watched the movie and okay. That's good because I'm like 80 pages in reading it and I can see the beginnings of that. Because even at the beginning of this novel, I wasn't really connecting with her, but as you get more and more into her story, that's good to know.
No, the book is really good. Sarah, I think you're really going to like it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually was reading Thrawn and Rebel Rising at the same time. And Rebel Rising edged out Thrawn for me as far as which one I needed to finish first.
Wow.
And you know what, though? I am a true reader of young adult categorized novels. They just hook me. And Tricia, what is it with the Star Wars YA novels having more romance and sex in them than the other books? I'm just saying.
Well, because that was a comment that was out in the discussion where some people were like, "Oh, what's up with the sex?" And I'm like, "It's YA."
Well, I'm excited to read this now even more.
You'll pick up on it. It's not blatant like in Lost Stars.
Yeah, it's not blatant. It's really subtle.
So there, and it happened, and I was just sitting there going, "Oh." Like it's like let your imagination think of what's happening, which is really, really fun for me. But I was just like, yeah, go YA.
But the strange thing is that there are people who are commenting, people who I know have read the expanded universe all along, and I mean there ended up being so much gore and bloodshed and violence in some of the books, and then they're like shocked that there's, I mean, just this is like, I mean, you have to use your imagination to really think about the activity that's happening. I think a kid would read it and wouldn't even pick up on it. That's how subtle I think it is.
Wow.
It is.
Yeah. But I think if you're an adult, or if you have some, you know, maybe a teenager, you're going to pick up on it. That's how subtle I think it is. But it was like, people are like, oh man, what's up with the sex in the YA books? I'm like, oh, that's pretty, I mean, that's, they deal with things that kids are dealing with, right? Teenagers are dealing with that type of awareness. It's not just about, it's a coming of age story, and you can't take that part out of it. But definitely it's in there, and I think dealt with very, you know, it's not overt. It's certainly, but if we can kill people and shed blood, I think we can definitely talk about that part of our lives.
Yeah.
So.
I'm about to start singing the song from the 90s, just so you know.
And what song's that?
The Let's Talk About Sex song.
What is this from?
Oh, it's I know it's, I'm not going to sing it because then I'll be embarrassed. I'll be in the outtakes.
So it was Salt and Pepper. Yeah.
This is why I don't know it.
You don't know
yes, you do. You totally know this song.
Sex,
Hang on.
No.
Let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things.
Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
No.
Let's talk about sex.
I was a weird teenager, and I would only listen to film soundtracks, and I pretty much hated everything that was popular.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you missed out on some good Salt and Pepper music.
I know. The song that I remember really latching onto that was popular at the time, and it's like the only one, is I Would Walk 500 Miles. I would walk 500 more to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall. The Proclaimers.
Speaking of the 90s, did any of you guys make mixtapes?
Oh, yeah. I made mixtapes of soundtracks.
Oh my God.
I was a major dork, you guys. And I called it 1,000 words.
And what movies was it
literally killing me right now.
So it was, do I have it? I found it the other day when I was cleaning out. Hold on, it might even be in this drawer. Oh, well, it wouldn't have the track names on there, but it has like my favorite tracks from Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It has like Jurassic Park, favorite tracks from that, E.T., a lot of James Horner scores as well. What else? Like The Abyss has a track from that. So Alan Silvestri, the Back to the Future score. So it's like all film score music.
I made mixed tapes, and then I made mixed CDs when that became a thing. Mm-hmm. And they were named Peace, Love, and Jelly Beans number 1, Peace, Love, and Jelly Beans number 2, Peace, Love, and Jelly Beans number 3.
Well, see, this is why Guardians of the Galaxy works for me, because the mixtape thing is totally like my generation. So
yeah, I used to make them.
We have to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, because there was this great article in IO9 about the ways it is like Empire Strikes Back. Did you guys see that article?
I did see that article,
Yes.
and I sort of laughed because I hadn't made all of those connections. There were quite a few I did pick up on, but not all of them. Mm-hmm. But definitely the father thing, the "No, I am your father." But spoilers for this particular movie, by the way.
Yes.
There's the moment where Peter's father says, "I'm your father, Peter." I was like, yeah, you are.
I just love that his name was Ego.
Well,
I know.
Now, did you guys know about this character before going into the movie?
No. Mm-mm.
No.
See, I didn't either. And so I got my background information From who? The Steve Glosson. You know, anytime I have questions, I ask him because he's the Marvel geek of all geeks. And so I was asking him about this character, and he told me about how the character actually appears in the comics versus in the films, and it's so different. But very interesting, but so different.
Wow. Yeah, I love, well, it's interesting how, you know, in this Guardians of the Galaxy 2, that Ego teaches Peter some, like, the Force, you know, how to use his powers, and they throw a ball around. That's so cute. So that's, like, obviously Luke and Yoda. However, poor Peter Quill, as soon as he gets his powers, well, he doesn't really have long to learn how to use them.
No, he doesn't. Not in a, well, Luke was not, he obviously didn't know that it was his father in Empire Strikes Back. So there's a little bit different of a kind of, in that kind of vibe and what he was having to do. But the whole thing that the father's name Ego, and that's essentially what the hero's journey is about, kind of figuring out your ego and putting it in check. And I was like, okay, wow, that's really meta level there.
Oh, I see. Okay. That is.
I am Groot.
She agrees with you. I speak Teresa Groot.
I am Groot.
No, not that button, Teresa.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so he was probably the best part of the whole movie, just saying. Baby Groot.
Oh.
Baby Groot was the best. And, you know, I will say this. I know this isn't a Star Wars thing, but, like, since we're talking about it, I liked this one. It was far more emotional than I was prepared for, which is fine. But the soundtrack for this one, for me, was not as good as the one from the previous one. But that's okay. But there's this moment in this particular movie, everything that happens between Gamora and Nebula that just had me cracking up, like, the whole time. Because you're both not going to kill each other. You do realize that, right? Like, it's like when Thor and the Hulk fight. You're not going to beat one another.
We'll see. They know each other from work.
I know. Oh my God, that's the best trailer ever.
You know how those work relationships can get.
Yes. But Gamora and Nebula in this one were really, like, stand out for me. I really enjoyed them. And Rocket had a really awesome character arc in this one, too.
Yes, Rocket and Yondu kind of connected there.
Yep. But it is a lot like Empire Strikes Back. There are some other things, you know, the ruling the galaxy as father and son. There was the unspoken love between Gamora and Star-Lord, similar to Han and Leia. And yeah.
At the end, I'm like, ooh, so she does have some unspoken thing, and maybe we'll explore that in Volume 3.
Oh, one other thing I want to say about Guardians before we move on. I think there was a really big missed opportunity for music with the end when they gave him the MP3 player, because he plays this old song, which really he should have turned it on, and it should have been like some Bruno Mars or like rap song or something from now, and for him to make like this face to and be like, you know, that would have been hilarious. But no, didn't happen.
It should have been Salt and Pepper.
Let's talk about sex.
Yeah.
Oh, bringing it back around.
Hey there, fangirls. The Looking for Leia documentary is traveling the United States and beyond this year, following the stories of the girls and women of Star Wars fandom, and we need your support. Visit www.lookingforleia.com to donate to our Kickstarter campaign now through June 23rd. We've got some galactically cool perks, and we'd love to have you on board.
And if you guys want to learn more about Looking for Leia, check out episode 44 of Fangirls Going Rogue.
Well, coming up this week, and by the time our listeners hear this, it will be after, but we'd love for you guys to email us about what you did to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Star Wars. So that is coming up, I think, on Thursday, right? If I have my dates right. Are you guys planning on doing anything for it?
Yeah, so luckily one of our Skywalkers, Brian Sims, is always looking to do stuff, and he found that the movie 5/25/77 would be playing in LA, and so on Thursday we are going to go see that movie in Pasadena with some Skywalkers. It should be fun. Now, I really didn't know what this movie was about. Apparently, it's about an alienated, hopeful filmmaker, Pat Johnson, and his epic story growing up in rural Illinois, falling in love, and becoming the first fan of the movie that changed everything, which is, of course, Star Wars. So I don't know what that means, so I will report after I see it. Do you guys know anything about this film?
Mm-mm. Not a thing.
I saw a mention of it, and the only mention I saw was that it didn't have as much Star Wars as they thought it would have in it.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So yeah, that's the only time, but it's hard to say because you see someone screens it, and then that was their kind of feedback. So
okay, but later in the week on Sunday, I will be going to the Scum and Villainy Cantina, the pop-up cantina that was announced back in right before Rogue One, and that is in Hollywood. So I'm excited to also go to that and report as to how much it really is like the cantina.
That's cool. Well, Geek Out Loud is doing a live Geek Out Loud on their Mixler channel of a live watch of A New Hope. Ooh. So depending on how I'm feeling and if this gets any worse, I might be watching along with them and calling in to the show. But I don't know if I'm going to do that for sure. But that is happening, just in case anybody wants to check out that particular episode. It'll be a live watch. What about Tricia? Are you doing anything?
I think I'll be traveling and watching everybody's tweets.
Oh,
but the date thing doesn't really. I know a lot of people get into the May and it has to be December and it has to be this and this date, and we've had a lot of Star Wars movie birth dates this month, obviously, because it's been historically in May, but it to me, I don't get attached to dates. So I'm horrible. So when I don't even say happy birthday to people, don't be shocked. I'm not attached to dates, even my own birthday. At this age, you're kind of like, yeah, okay, that happened. No.
Wait, which year is it? How old am I? Yeah,
exactly. when we horse show, we're divided into age groups, and when I first became an adult, it was 18 to 30, and then it was like this horror that I was going to be the older group, as they called them, and then they moved it to 35, and I was like, oh yeah, and now they've separated, so 36 to 49 is what we call the middle group, and I'm in that group, but I'm getting close to what we call fossils over fences, which is 50 and over. So, and
yes, you are, because you're the same age as Richard.
Yeah, so we can all. So yeah, I get less and less attached to dates. So I don't know. I know some people are like 40 years of Star Wars. I'm like, yeah, but 40 years of Star Wars means I've been around for
more than 40 years.
More than 40 years. So it's really cool when you used to be able to say, oh, I saw it in the theater, and now when you're like, I saw it in the theater, I remember it as a child. People are like, So they're almost
this old.
Yeah. How close are they to 50?
Right.
So I don't get attached to dates that way. It's a thing. So everybody can keep celebrating Star Wars.
Well, if you don't get attached to dates, then do you have any issues with episode 9 going back to May instead of being in December?
I don't, although it was kind of fun having it at the end of the year. It doesn't bother me either way. I just feel I don't. It was fun, but what was comical to me was, you remember when they announced December originally for 7, and people were just coming unhinged, just like in the same way, like, oh, we don't have the 20th Century Fox fanfare.
Yep.
It won't ever be a Star Wars movie. And the things that and now people are like, it's at the reverse. They're like, oh my God, they can't move it from December. I'm like, just, Star Wars, do whatever you're going to do. Because I think we're going to eventually have 2 movies a year. So we're going to have a May and December, or May and November or whatever it comes out. I think if at some point we're going to have 2 movies a year. So
I actually think they're setting up for that for this particular year, for 2019, that it's going to be 9, and then they're going to add another one to the slate that they haven't told us about.
Yeah, or it'll be an indie movie. Kathleen Kennedy said one of her goals, one of the reasons she took the job when George Lucas offered it to her, was because she wanted to make Lucasfilm a film studio again. Ooh. And producing 1 movie a year is not a film studio. So that's 2 movies now. You need to get into making more movies. So they have additional, not every film studio has the baggage of also having books and all this other stuff that goes with it, and just trying to tie into Star Wars. But at some point, if they're going to be a film studio, they need to do two movies a year at least.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, personally, I have no problem with it moving back to May. In terms of my work schedule, it actually works a little better. It was kind of nice. Like, The Force Awakens is so associated with Christmas for me now. Just like the colors they used in the posters and everything, and the cold of The Force Awakens. But other than that, and then also the snow scene, of course, you have Rey and Kylo fighting in the snow. So that's very Christmas associated. But other than that, I'm kind of excited to see what a May release will be like.
I'm just glad that all theaters have pretty much moved to reserved seating, and with it being in May, I don't have to sit outside and wait in line anymore.
Exactly. It's a thing that kids just don't get to experience like we did back in the day.
Unless you join liningup.net, which will be this year again doing the lining up thing. And we just spoke with Rick Peralta, one of the managers of liningup.net, and he, the information for the line for, what is it called? The Last Jedi will be released on our next episode of Skywalking Through Neverland. So look for that on episode 170. Plug.
God bless you guys for lining up. I didn't even want to line up for Duke basketball games, and that's like a thing at Duke. And I did it one time, and I'm like, nope, I'm getting the Dancing Devils, which was the dance team, into the basketball games, and that was like my goal, and I made it happen. So
nice.
I'm not a line stander outer.
Well, it's not like we stand on a line. It's mostly for charity, and like if you do a certain number of hours, you get more tickets and a better. Basically, you can choose seats earlier than others.
Well, we have some crossover, a little, if you want to call it that, between Star Trek and Star Wars lately, folks. Ooh. Star Trek released some first images of Star Trek Discovery. And when they did that, they actually started some sort of Ray Fury. I don't know if Fury is the right word, but we have some images from the 100, Mad Max Fury Road, Resident Evil Distinction, and everything is going kind of the goggles, sort of covered face, Rey scavenger look. And now Star Trek Discovery is doing the same thing. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was crazy. When I first saw that shot, I thought, "Oh, is that Rey cosplay?" Because it's the 2 women in the kind of this, tan with the goggles, and which is exciting because it's 2 women of color talking in the scene, actually talking about having command. So they passed the Bechdel test on their first sequence, which doesn't necessarily mean that you've created a good story, but it's a good sign, especially when you're talking about things. But it's also interesting because people were like, everybody's brains went to Rey, obviously from this image. But Jonah Marie, who's your wonderful Galactic Fashion co-host, Teresa,
she always finds this stuff.
Yeah, she made a great point that this kind of dystopian in the desert, the kind of tan colors are really, Mad Max Fury Road, and there's just so many other instances where this kind of look, the dystopia in the desert, that kind of harkens back to there's no life, that things have been eradicated, or there's been some type of tragedy on the world, which was exactly what they were trying to do with that. And also people forget too that J.J. Abrams did Star Trek. did the reboot, and Michael Kaplan was the costume designer who went over to Star Wars. So there might be a little bit of a natural just connection in that their look comes from looking at the costume styles of Star Trek, the newer version, not the older version. So it's not surprising that there's a similarity in the look, but I'm excited for more Star Trek in the future. You can be a fan of both franchises.
Yes, I'm here to tell you that Captain Picard, Star Trek Next Generation was totally my Star Trek. And my mom and I would actually watch it together. And it was just, we bonded over the fact that Data reminded us of my dad.
What does your dad think of that?
He accepts it. I don't think he gets the whole Star Trek thing. It was totally my mom and I. And we have this little Data figure that we would hide around the house and like put in different places, like in the kitchen or in the living room, so that one or the other of us would find it. And I still have Data, and he is sitting here on my desk.
Teresa, did you have a favorite Star Trek?
What? What are y'all even talking about?
Star Trek. Which was your favorite?
A plague on both your houses.
Oh my.
That's not even Harry Potter. Come on.
No, that's even more
Shakespeare.
Well, I was going to try and find a good word for it, but my brain's fuzzy and I don't have no language right now. I don't have a favorite Star Trek. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I don't really watch it. I've seen the new ones. I like the new ones because they're more Star Wars-y. But if I'm being honest, I've seen the first Star Trek. I've seen the first Star Trek movie, the very, very first one. Wanted to shoot myself in the face. And that's about it.
Well, but no. You can't. If you only watch, you're talking about the first,
like
the first
movie.
Oh
yes.
no, yeah.
And then I've seen like part of the, like maybe a few episodes from the first Star Trek series, and that's about it. I like the Close Her Universe released, and I bought a bunch of that.
You need to watch Wrath of Khan first of all.
I take it back. I've seen the first half of Wrath of Khan and was confused the entire time, so I stopped watching it. There's something about Star Trek, like it confuses me. But see, like the new movies don't. I feel like they're much more, I don't want to say dumbed down, but dumbed down to where I don't feel like I have to like have some prior collegiate knowledge in order to be able to watch it.
Well, some of the later movies you definitely needed to know what was happening and but that's probably a lesson for Star Wars too, right? Mm-hmm. Don't make it to the point where, every movie should be a point where you could come in, and probably one of the reasons that, because J.J. Abrams wasn't a Star Trek fan. He always said that I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'll do the Star Trek movie because they were never going to make any Star Wars movies. and he made his Star Trek movie very Star Warsy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I liked it.
Yes, and then he brought everybody over and made a Star Wars movie eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like the guy who plays Spock.
Yes,
he's really good.
He's amazing. Well, Tricia, what was your favorite Star Trek? I'm curious.
Oh, I liked almost all of them. Deep Space Nine I like more now than I did at the time because I think it's one of the most socially relevant shows, and it was ahead of its time on a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But Captain Picard was my guy.
Oh, awesome. High five.
Yeah, he was. I feel like he was the thinking man captain.
Yeah, definitely. The one who had all that.
Professor X.
Yes, he's still like the coolest dude ever. That's the thing. He's, he like adopted a dog recently, and he was just tweeting about it. I think it was a pit bull, and he's like, oh, they get a bad rap, and he's like got the dog in the swimming pool, and he's just.
I saw that. Oh,
he's like just cool in and of himself. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, we got on a Star Trek tangent there.
We did. Well, we got everything in this. We have Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. We're just going there. So maybe we should have a character discussion.
I think that's a good plan. Rob Dellinger?
Sidious, Anakin, Luke and Leia, Qui-Gon Jinn, C.O. Bibble, Kylo Ren, Salacious Crumb, Bib Fortuna, Boba Fett, Amidala, Wicket, R2-D2, BB-8, I can barely keep it straight. It's a character discussion. It's the Fangirls on Character. It's a character discussion.
So every show we do a character discussion, and on this particular one, we are sort of taking a swerve, if you will, to talk about the Freemakers. So we had a great interview on one of our previous priority transmissions. I believe it's priority transmission number 5 with Bob Roth and Bill Motz, who created the Freemaker adventures. And we're going to talk about the Freemakers as a family, but more specifically, the shorts that came out for May the 4th. And so if you've never watched Lego Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures, you really, really should. It's great storytelling, and it's done in a really fun way. And it's just short, 22-minute entertainment. So let yourself dive right in. And you can start with these shorts that are on YouTube, on the Disney XD YouTube channel. And they are also available on the Watch Disney XD app if you have that. And first of all, you guys have seen the Freemaker Adventures, correct? Hope so, because that's what we're talking about.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I watched all of them. And actually, you can see season 1 now is available on YouTube for free.
Oh, how nice.
It just popped up if you haven't seen it and can't find it anywhere else. I saw someone tweet that today. So, which it must have just happened because I had been looking previously and they were, I think, $1.99 each or something like that to see them if you hadn't taped them. So this is really cool. Wow. But all the shorts, which are what, 4 minutes long?
Yeah, they're about 4 minutes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, are free.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have a favorite character, Tricia?
Well, it's Lieutenant Valaria.
That doesn't count. She's not yet. So she's just in the shorts. I'm just talking about from the main show.
So let's give an overview of the characters for those who may have not seen them.
Can we do something before we do that?
Okay.
I wanted to. So why it's relevant that we talk about these character shorts is, I believe, something that Carrie Beck said on the Star Wars show, and that they're talking about Forces of Destiny. Because a lot of people are like, is Forces of Destiny even going to be relevant to just these little short stories? And could you have these moments that really matter? And she made a point about finding the source of a character and finding a moment, a kernel of it. So maybe we could just listen to her talk about that first.
How do you decide what moments go into Forces of Destiny?
I think for us, we looked at the stories that are being told right now, and then given the knowledge we have about where we might go in the future, we started to look for what were the examples of the moments that would display those acts of everyday heroism, the small moments of courage, of bravery, of just the moments that build great character.
So this kind of reminds me of animation, like character animation. Whenever you hear about animators talking about their characters, they always do these tests first. And, to find that moment in a character that just demonstrates what that character is about.
Sure. Absolutely. So then what they did with these little shorts is they gave every character, Cordy, Rowan, Xander, and Roger, he gets his own character development, the funny little droid. And then as a team, they get one. So that's how they do the 5 episodes. So that was, and then it seemed like Lieutenant Valaria, who is the pilot, comes in. And obviously, if you're Akbar fan, he's in there too. So
and Chopper.
And Chopper.
Chopper's in one of them.
And Lando Calrissian.
That's right.
And Chewbacca twice. I think, unless those, maybe they weren't. Maybe it wasn't Chewbacca in the Cordy one. So
yeah.
No, it wasn't. I wasn't Chewie. It was just the Wookiees because they had been there during the show. But yeah, let's talk about the family really quick. For those people who don't know, the Freemakers are a family. They have no parents, so they're effectively orphans. And it's Cordy is the oldest. She's the sister of the group.
It
Rowan
seems like she is like older teens, wouldn't you say? At least?
No, I think she's supposed to be in her early 20s or late teens, early 20s.
Okay.
And then Rowan is the youngest brother. He's actually a character who has force sensitivity abilities, and he actually has a lightsaber. And Xander, who is sort of this teenage, older teens. That's why I'm saying Cordy's probably in her early 20s. Xander is in his late teens to like maybe being like 18, wants to be a pilot, all this stuff. And then there's Roger, who is a sort of reprogrammed battle droid who is their nanny, essentially.
Yeah.
And he makes really good food that sometimes he burns. But it's all done in Lego format, and it's pretty cool. So what they did is they, like Tricia said, they gave each character their own little story. And you need to have, well, I don't think you need to have seen the Freemaker adventures to really watch these, but it does play off of where the first season of the show ends and before the second season starts. So the timeline for this is that it is between Empire Strikes... No.
Yep. Yeah.
Where am I? And it's between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And at the end of season 1, the Freemakers are going to be joining the rebellion. And so what we're seeing in these 5 shorts that they did, because they did one of them all as a family, in these 5 shorts, we sort of see their pathway into becoming a full-fledged part of the rebellion. So we start off with Home 1. This is when the Freemakers have to prove their worth to the rebellion. And so this is Cordy's episode, and she has to show off her bartering skills. And this one was so awesome because Cordy's just great. The way that Cordy does all of her stuff is just amazing. And the way that she barters and the things that she says are fantastic.
Well, I
know.
think
There's something about her.
Yeah, this whole episode, basically, she takes a switch, some kind of switch for a thing, and barters her way across the galaxy into the part that the X-wing needed, or the U-wing. Wasn't it a U-wing? It was a U-wing.
Yeah, we get essentially every kind of spaceship in between all the different episodes, like. You get every X-wing, Y-wing, U-wing, everything, which was kind of fun. But
yeah, but it reminded me of I don't know if you ever heard this kid who basically bartered his way through the internet from I believe it was like a MacBook to a car. He used Craigslist to barter his way just like this into an actual car.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So,
and Tricia, this is when we first see Lieutenant Valaria, if you want to talk about her now.
Yeah, well, Lieutenant Valaria is the head of Blue Squadron. I believe she's Blue leader.
Yes.
And is, woman of color. She's Yvette Nicole Brown, who has the cosplay show on Sci-Fi Network, I believe it is, if you guys watch that. So that's kind of fun to watch the people kind of compete making costumes. But she is a true Star Wars fan, in addition to just being funny as all get out. So, but what I think is really cool is what it shows is you don't necessarily need to know anything, because this essentially tells you who Cordy is. That's kind of the core of who she is. She just hustles. She's not hustling as in a bad way, hustling as in she's going to work really hard to fit in, to prove her worth, and to take care of her family. So this, and we get to go to essentially, where do they go? Kashyyyk. They go to Tatooine because she barters with the Jawas. And
Cloud City, right?
Yeah, the Cloud City. And the whole time while she's doing it, the Rowan and Xander and Roger are having these misadventures in the background that if you're just paying attention to what she's doing, you might not miss. But I watched, the second time, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're doing the funniest things in the background. She's trying to barter with the Wookiees, and they're running around getting shot at, and she's just doing her thing. So
man.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I need to watch these again.
Yeah. So that one's called Home 1.
Yes.
Which is, Akbar's ship, and so that kind of is establishing where they would end up, being part of the Rebel Alliance. And in the interview, they make the point of this is what canon adjacent. So anybody in these stories could be in the stories. They would be alive, or any of the locations would be where they were, but it isn't necessarily part of canon. But especially if you want to tell stories or learn about storytelling, I think they had to work really hard to make all these little things happen, like those background things that you don't even notice necessarily the first time, because you're concentrating on what Cordy's doing, but there's so much in it.
Wow.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up canon adjacent. And so what that really, really means is if like we see Admiral Akbar in this particular timeline or time in the story, then he is alive and he does exist and he is on this ship. But this interaction with the Freemakers is not canon. But the fact that he's there means that he's alive. So in season 2, we're going to see Hera in the Freemaker adventures. So what that means is that Hera is alive between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. That's what that means. And I had this moment of revelation about that during the interview, and I felt like such a child. So I was like, oh my God. It was really funny. All right, so the second short is thrown into battle, and this is Roger's episode. He saves the rebel fleet from certain destruction when he accidentally turns himself into a torpedo. It's pretty funny. It's really funny because he's trying to make friends with the other droids. And so he's trying to make something. And so he's making like a droid cleaner, you know, like a droid car wash.
Car wash.
Type of deal. And he interacts with Chopper, and Chopper just thinks that he's like not worth anything. He doesn't want to have anything to do with him. It's really funny. But it's funny to watch Roger do this. He has the like earmuffy things over his ears, if you will. So he can't hear anything that's going on in the background while he's building this thing. And it just turns into this ultimate disaster. But it's so funny.
Your droid buffer's looking good, Roger.
What's that, Rowan?
Looks good!
Huh?
Take off your earmuffs! You can't hear me!
Can't hear you. I'm wearing earmuffs.
But essentially what Roger is that he doesn't necessarily pay attention to what is happening. He's sort of in his own oblivious world. And things just sort of happen and it works out, which makes him great comic relief.
Well, and you know what he reminds me of most is Jar Jar on the field of battle in Naboo when he keeps on, you know, things keep happening and he keeps on getting in people's way, but at the same time he helps destroy all those battle droids. So it's like, oh my goodness, it's Jar Jar again, but in this cute Roger package.
Oh, poor little, and that's Matthew Wood who does the sound, who's actually doing, which, I mean, he makes him really funny too, and just the things that he says. So it's, you know, it has to all work. It has the delivery and just the way he interacts. But that one was the funniest to me of all of them. Just the kind of how it got to the point. I don't even want to give away the ending.
No,
no, it's like so spectacular, but it's so Roger. So
I do want to say that one of my favorite moments at Star Wars Celebration at the Freemaker Adventures panel was the fact that Matt Wood did come out for the last half of that panel, and he did go to the mic and say Roger, Roger in his voice, and it sounded just like him, of course, because it's him. But it was funny. I loved it.
I like the Akbar calls him ROGR. So another thing you notice too is if you look at each of these little episodes, if you were a kid and you were just showing this to a kid, everything is like a little teaching them a little bit of Star Wars, you know, because Roger gets his little medal ceremony type thing. And then the next one, the Rowan Secret Adventure, goes right into the trench run, you know, type thing. So they're going right into they're teaching you about things. I'm like, they're not even apologetic. They're like, yes, it has a exhaust port just like the Death Star. They're like, it's okay that we're going to repeat the story in a different way, just so if a kid were watching it and maybe you didn't want to show your little wee one Star Wars yet, you could show them this and it would be fine.
You make a lot of sense there. I didn't think about this for a kid's audience because I know that, Bill Motz and Bob Roth are very much huge Star Wars fans, and that I was thinking of all these Easter eggs and trench runs and things as just kind of nods to the fans, but you make a good point in that it does teach little kids something too. So that's cool. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, and I agree with everything you guys are saying. So the third one, where the trench run happens, is Rowan's secret adventure. So this is when Rowan winds up in a Y-Wing's tail gunner seat in the middle of an intense battle against the Empire. He totally didn't mean to be there. It just happened the way that everything does with the Freemakers. And what I find hilarious is that Lieutenant Valaria didn't even realize that he was there. She just thought that he was her regular gunner. And it was just really funny to me, the whole thing. And the fact that nobody even really knew he was gone. It was just sort of like, oh, yeah, hey, what's up?
Where's Red? Well, and the thing that this too, if you were showing this to a kid, if you had a kid, there's a little bit of a message in there, because essentially the Freemakers have all the ships ready to go. And then Rowan and Roger end up mucking it up and making a mess of it. But they go and fix their mess, right? They don't just go, oh, I made a mess, I'm going to run away. Mm-hmm. They fix their mess, and it leads into this adventure. And they do it in that's what it's 4 minutes, but it's like a little fable. It's like the little Aesop's fable, except in Legos. Like, you could make a mistake, you could do something and spill something in the kitchen maybe, but pick it up and everything will be okay. And you might even get to be the hero in the trench run at the end of it. So I thought it was really cool if you're thinking, oh, I want to show this to a kid, but at the same time, you can have fun watching it as an adult and totally get this kind of story out of it.
Mm-hmm. Now, my favorite one is the next one, and I just have to say it the way that he says it, which is Xander Freemaker, superstar pilot guy. This is my absolute favorite one. So Xander attempts to join a fighter squadron by flying his own ship that he makes called the Blazemaker. So he essentially takes his regular ship, which is falling apart, and he creates this stupid, ridiculous, could never fly ever probably ship that's just like a concoction of pod racer engines and like all kinds of stuff. And he goes out there to go fight, and he's like blowing stuff up that he shouldn't be able to blow up.
Well, doesn't Lieutenant Valaria say that there's no guns on the ship, so it won't work?
Yeah,
so he's like, yeah, well, let me fix that and put 10,000 guns on there.
Yeah.
You guys caught the little nod there in the animation itself, right?
Yes. I loved it to the Atari game. What's the game called? Do you guys know?
Asteroid?
Asteroids?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Isn't it Space Invaders?
Or Space?
It's Space Invaders.
Or Galaga.
No, Space Invaders. Because his ship is at the bottom, pointing up. And it's killing all the dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, but it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. And they even make a mention, I believe, in this one to like the Lego movies, to the Master Builders, because he says something, if I remember right, there's a line that says something like it's Master Build time or like something like that, and they go crazy and build this stupid ship. That completely falls apart, by the way.
Well, for me being an engineer, this is the engineering and the consequences of your choices in engineering. So someone would say, well, this car needs to go faster, and it doesn't mean that it needs to be like the fastest car ever. It needs a jet on it. It just means it needs to go faster. So she says it needs to have guns, and they took it to essentially every type of gun ever imaginable, as opposed to, which worked out really well until the end. There were consequences for being, he wanted to be the best pilot ever. And I think the parable is there's no shortcuts, because he did a shortcut and there were consequences to his shortcut.
Right.
At the end. So, but it was very Xander, because that's just Xander. He's kind of like all in, right? That's right. And sometimes you need someone like that. It sort of reminds me of Han Solo, when he like turns and chases all the stormtroopers down the Death Star hallway. And you're like, sometimes you need Han Solo, and sometimes you need to think about the consequences of being all in and chasing all the stormtroopers down the hallway.
Or sometimes you just need Xander Freemaker, superstar pilot guy. And the last one is Beware the Gamorrean Flu. This is when the whole team undertakes a daring mission to save two of the rebellion's finest heroes, Lando Calrissian and Chewbacca. And one of the best things about this whole entire episode is when they say, yeah, we can handle it. We just need to get arrested. And Admiral Akbar is like, huh? What? And I was just like, yes, they're going to get arrested. And we get to see the Imperial guys that are in the show that are so like anti being Imperial and like moving up. They just want to like hide.
Richard Kind. The guy voiced by Richard Kind. I forget his name, but
they're
so
like
we get to see them.
The anti-director Krennics.
Yes.
It's what, like, they have no aspirations. They're not going to choke on any aspirations. That's for sure. They're just hanging out. But again, we're a language of Star Wars. They get locked up, and then they have to do teamwork to escape and get out. And they need a little forced luck and a little bit of being a little kind of con artists in the way Han Solo is, So I think that was kind of the fun of it, and it's very hilarious. So,
yeah, definitely. Teamwork is what it's all about. Can we just get sum up all of these shorts? And I'm going to talk about the music a little bit. And you're mentioning how, this is teaching kids the language of Star Wars. Well, the music is also doing that. A little more subconsciously, but like in Home 1, you get major call outs to the Rebel fanfare.
The Rebel Alliance! This is going to be amazing! We won't have to scrounge for parts anymore.
You get some Force theme going on in a lot of these, like especially Rowan's Secret Adventure, and you get the Freemaker main theme, but in it, sprinkled in all these shorts is lots of call-outs to very familiar Star Wars themes, and I thought that was really fun in general. Now, speaking in general, did you guys have an overall feeling of these 5 shorts?
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
Oh, look at that. I like it.
Very good. Did you go to Lego movies? I think that listening to Carrie Beck talk about it, just being now she's the director of animation production, I believe, is that her title at Star Wars, that we see this kind of, again, that's why I'm seeing the language, the character moments. And they talked in the interview with Teresa, the creators, about how she's very much in the kind of the weeds of it, of saying
Carrie
yes
Beck
or no.
is? Yeah.
Yes, giving them ideas. And so these are just these little kind of nuggets where they can have fun and not be like, I feel like The Last Jedi is going to be very
intense.
Heavy. Yes, very intense. So they're creating more ways that you could bring your kid, because kids are going to hear about Star Wars, they're going to know about Star Wars, and that you could bring them in. And even if you just wanted to have a little bit of fun yourself, it's 4 minutes of your life to have a good laugh. And there's definitely, but if you're into storytelling, you want to look at, how do I create characters? A lot of times when you're talking about being a critic, the places where the stories need to be firmed up is the plots are great, but the characters have weaknesses because we don't know why they're doing something. These little nuggets show you exactly what you need to think about when you're creating a character was what makes them do something. And which goes back to me talking about Jin when I couldn't connect with her. Rebel Rising did that for me. These little things show you what you need to do with a character is they can't just, well, I need a character to do something. I need a character, for, if you're looking at like for Jin, for me, she I didn't understand her reason for doing something because everybody was telling her to do something as opposed to showing a character do something. This is like, I'm looking at a Lego thing and going, yes, that's what you're supposed to do as a storyteller. That's it. They hit it on the nose. So go watch these things and break them down if you want to work on storytelling. These are the things to watch. They're just little lessons. And then you can show them to a kid too, even better.
Yeah. And also for a pure enjoyment factor, honestly, if you have never seen Freemaker Adventures, you will definitely enjoy these. And for me, because these Lego Star Wars movies and TV shows and films like throw so much at you in one. Like you can pause a frame and be like, oh, that's an Easter egg. Or you can listen to the sounds and be like, oh, that was the Wilhelm scream. Or you can see on the screen, like just the little cups that Roger was holding are like actual little Lego pieces that you usually use turned upside down as like flag holders, So there's so much to absorb in just one of these little things that I almost enjoyed the 4-minute short a little better, because for my attention span, you could be like all in for 4 minutes and be like, oh wow, I get that. Even more almost than a 22-minute episode. So on an enjoyment level, these are like perfect.
I'm kind of curious if maybe that's more where they might go with some of the stuff that, we're in this generation where people don't have very long attention spans. Like it's a lot of work for some people to sit through 22 minutes of Rebels, but you can do it even in shorter consumption bites because we're the ADHD society.
So recently, as of today, as we record this, we put out a little thing in our Fangirls Going Rogue Facebook group, and I realized that I didn't know what to call our listeners because Skywalking Through Neverland has Skywalkers, and Geek Out Loud has the Guardians of the Gulliverse, and then Disney Vault Talk has our Vaulties. And I was like, we don't have a name for our listeners. So if you have a name that you can think of, that would be good. Send us an email to contact@fangirlsgoingrogue.com, and we're going to pick a name from our favorites.
Yay!
Yep. So we'll probably do some sort of a poll or something. We'll pick out our favorites and then do a poll in our Facebook group or something and come up with a name for you guys, because right now you don't have a name.
That's sad. We need a name.
I know, right?
Can't just call them listeners. It's more personal than that.
So impersonal. Yeah, it's like anybody has listeners. we need something, and I don't know what to call.
So where should they send that to? An email?
Yep, email contact@fangirlsgoingrogue.com.
All right.
And while you're doing that, check out our latest interviews on our Priority Transmission number 5 with Bob Roth and Bill Motz, and also check out episode 44 with Dave Filoni and episode 43 with Claudia Gray, Joe Caroni, and Brian Miller. There's lots of good content there, guys. If you haven't listened, you need to go and listen to all of that.
No, especially now that Claudia is confirmed writing a Leia book.
I know, right?
That's so awesome.
Because I know when we interviewed, that wasn't anything that anybody knew about, but we did ask her about Leia. So we didn't know. I mean, come on, it's like her favorite character. She admitted that. So it was a good question to ask. But sometimes you just fall into those things like naming your show Fangirls Going Rogue, and then they named the movie Rogue One because we were feeling the Force.
It's true.
We had a Force vision, right? Yeah.
A collective Force vision. I like it. All right. Is it time for our plugs?
Yep, time for plugs.
Okay, so this is where now we've had so many awesome interviews on Fangirls Going Rogue, and we're so excited about that. And if you just want to keep on listening to some awesome interviews, you can head to episode 170 of Skywalking Through Neverland, where we actually got an interview with Gary Kurtz, who is the producer of Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back and American Graffiti and just a whole bunch of other amazing movies. So we were so excited, Richard and I, to talk with Gary Kurtz. And once again, that's episode 170.
Yep, and you can also check out some fun interviews on Galactic Fashion number 24 with the winners of the Her Universe Fashion Show. And I just want to talk a little bit about Star Wars Bookworms. Our most recent episode, number 73, covers Empire's End. So if you've read that, then head on over there and check that out. And number 74 is coming up very soon, talking about Vader Down, the comic series. So if you are reading and doing all of that, make sure you join in with Star Wars Bookworms because we're doing some awesome stuff over there. And if you want a really cool interview, this is an old episode. It's number 53, but it's our interview with Pablo Hidalgo, and he doesn't do many of these. And it's very informative, so go check it out. Number 53.
Nice. Tricia?
Hyperspace Theories. We did. It's always fun, when someone gives you do a recording and you're like, oh, I don't know if anybody will care, but we recorded our thoughts after seeing The Last Jedi trailer. And then someone tweeted the other day and they're like, this is the most insightful thoughts on the next movie's trailer. And I'm like, hey, thanks for saying that. So if you go to Hyperspace Theories, we're always talking about storytelling and fun stuff like that. Fun stuff for me, at least, characterization. So definitely we have our initial reactions to the trailer and where we think things are going. And there's going to be more of that coming soon because I think as we talk about things, that definitely this animation, the books and other things are giving us clues as to where Luke is, where Rey is, where Kylo is in this big story that we just have to ponder. Except for Teresa. She says she doesn't speculate, but I know she does because sometimes she does on this show.
Lies. Deception.
Well done.
Thanks.
And I just watched Rogue One on the plane.
Nice.
Man, Saw was really like losing it there.
Mm-hmm.
He was totally losing it. I realized that more as I watched it with some space between the initial. It's like that dude was nuts. He had gone over the edge.
Wow.
All right, time for Rob Dillinger to roll it.
Shout it out to the social media from Teresa and Tricia and Sarah. Shout it out, fangirl shout outs.
We love shout outs. So we are at FG Going Rogue on Twitter, and there are always some fun shout outs over there. We want to thank you guys for tweeting at us while you're listening to the show. So I thought this was so cute that Galactic Fashion at Galactic Fashion tagged us. Now I know that Teresa, you tweet at Galactic Fashion sometimes, but also
correct. But this wasn't me.
Oh, who was this?
This was Jonah Marie. She did this.
Okay, nice. So Jonah Marie Macias, she tweeted, cute Ewok earring pack coming soon over at Entertainment Earth, and with a picture, and oh my gosh, there are 6 little Ewok heads, like stud earrings, an earring 6-pack, and it's so cute. And of course, she tagged Fangirls Going Rogue in this tweet. So we want to thank Jonah Marie for letting us know about this earring pack, which now I think I have to get.
So which one are you guys going to be? Oh. If you got to pick one Ewok from the 6 that are here, which one are you choosing?
I like the one with the pinkish, violetish face and the brown.
Okay, so the one on the top left.
No, actually, the one on the bottom middle.
Bottom middle.
So the totally opposite one of what you said.
Got it. Bottom middle. Tricia, what about you?
I want them all.
No, but you have to pick
one.
Pick one of the 6.
You pick one for me.
Well, it depends on what Teresa wants, because we can't have the same.
Those other ones are lighter than me. So, like, Tricia, you could be the light one, the top right, with the brown hood, the light one. And then I'll be the one with the green hood.
Okay. All right. Do we have another shout out?
Yes, I actually I love all that people are starting discussions in our Facebook group. And so we had this week, Patty shared an article. There was an article about Star Wars 40th and AARP, which got me thinking about not reminding myself. So that's an American Association of Retired Persons. So yeah, in their magazine. So yeah, okay. So Patty went and reminded me how old I feel, but no. We love Patty, but it was so funny to see that, because I'm like, yeah, now we have to cater to different groups, not just kids. And then there was, when you have, now she's laughing, when you have these discussions, people, it was, hold on, oh sorry, now I lost it. It's coming up. We had Rachel Crouch, who actually brought up in the Facebook group about how she was enjoying the Rebel Rising book and started a discussion in there. So we had a really cool discussion in that. So I want to thank Rachel for bringing that in. Sandra is always bringing in great conversations, but everybody can start one and have a conversation and talk about different things. And it probably, by the time the 40th rolls out, there'll be all sorts of things to talk about. So definitely share them on the Facebook page.
Yeah, and I know the best thing about our Facebook group is the fact that all of our listeners get to learn about and befriend each other. So I think that's the coolest thing about the group. And now to find that group, you can just go to Facebook and search Fangirls Going Rogue, and you can request to join, and you will get some questions that you will have to answer. So answer them wisely. We will be looking.
You don't have to be a perfect Star Wars fan, but Sandra's like, hey man, I'm tired of the crazy people who are trying to get in the group. Apparently because that's a thing. So
well, when you have a group that has fangirls in the title, you get some interesting boys.
I guess that is what happens.
You get a bunch of creepy dudes, guys. Just say it.
Yeah,
creepy dudes with profile pictures where they don't have clothes on.
I don't even know how they allow that. Like Facebook, you need to just stop those people, please. But you can't talk about Wonder Woman. We can talk about things like that too. You don't have to just talk about Star Wars. So that's always fun too, to say, oh hey, we're fans of Star Wars and of other things, which I think we accomplished very well in this episode.
I think so, except for Harry Potter, Tricia. Well, we have one more shout out on Twitter, and actually that's from Claudia Gray, the author, who, after interviewing with us, she talked about her Star Wars passport from when she was 12, and she actually tweeted a picture of this.
She found it.
Yeah, she found it. She tweeted, "You guys, I found my original Star Wars passport from when I was 12, and it's this little beat up blue book. It's so cute. Oh my gosh." So thank you, Tricia, for finding that tweet.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. I was like, oh my God, she found it. That's so cool. It was like something I didn't even know about.
Right. Yeah, I can't believe that.
If you're that close to the AARP, you're allowed to forget about those things. A credible way to say it. I forgot. Yes.
Wow. Well, that wraps up a fun-filled episode of Fangirls Going Rogue. So, everyone, please visit us over at fangirlsgoingrogue.com, and you can also tweet at us. We are at FG Going Rogue on Twitter and on Instagram. And Tricia, you are at Fangirl Cantina on Twitter. Teresa is at Ice Cold Penguin, and I am at Jedi Tink.
You can email us anytime, contact@fangirlsgoingrogue.com. You can find our Tumblr, fangirlsgoingrogue.tumblr.com. Let's see, there's a lot of Rebels, still more Hot Callus up there. And you can voicemail us anytime, 331-21-EWOKS or 331-213-9657. And please go to iTunes and leave a positive 5-star review. They are our lifeblood. We need your reviews so that more people can find us.
And also click that subscribe button. That also helps people find Fangirls Going Rogue on iTunes. So everyone, until next time, wear those Ewok earrings and da-da-da-da-da.
Yum.
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 Now, Galactic Fashion is by Jonna Marie, right?
Rude.
What?
And me.
What? Oh, no.
And Teresa.
I meant the Twitter account.
And me.
Okay. I'm sorry. Well, do you want to enter? Okay. We can scrap
No, that's
what
awkward.
I said.
No, do it. Go ahead. But she did tweet that one, but I do it also.
I'm
just
sorry.
saying.
Okay, I didn't know you did that one too. Okay. Well, now, okay, I don't know where I was. Crap.
Then Jonna Marie can be Wicket, who's right there in the middle.
Yeah, on the top.
And then let's see, who are these other two?
Well,
Amy Ratcliffe can be the bottom left.
Okay, and then the top left, then one of them should go to Harrison Ford. For his stud earring.
Here, I'll change it. I'll be top left, and Sandra can be bottom right.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. All right, now we've named all the Ewoks on the earrings.
Okay. That is cute. That was a sad yub.
Yep.